I mean, Jesus, if you open up the word and you read the red letters, the words of Jesus, you're called to a lot of things. You're called to be the light of the world. You're called to be the salt of the earth. You're called to go and make disciples. You're called to go and tell the nations about Jesus Christ. Like, that is an everybody call. So you don't get out of that call if you're a Christian. You know, you're like, oh, actually, I'm going to go into sales. Still called to spread the gospel. Still called to make disciples. So no matter what job you do, no matter what that looks like for you, your calling is anchored in what the Lord calls you to. And then there's also like these specific things that you might feel called to that are like, hey, for me, I mean, this is simple, but this is true. I feel like God called me to be a sister and a friend to those who don't have one, which is what led me to doing live conferences, is what led me to writing books, is what led me to doing podcasts, it's what led me to do these things. And so that was maybe like a very specific thing that I personally felt called to do. I think, how do you decipher whether it's the world or God? Does it align with God's word? If it does not, it's not God. If it does, it is. I think like God's not going to call you to something that's outside of his word. He's not going to call you something that contradicts what the word says. Now, I do think that like Dancing with the Stars is a good example. That's like a worldly thing that God did call me into. And I think what that looks like is like not conforming. You know, you don't go into those spaces and conform and act like the world. You go into them and you stay true to the call of the word to be the light of the world. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of how you have to look at it. It's not that you won't be called to go into dark places. You're absolutely called to. It's just that you don't look like that. You look like the light.